Here as we are every week covering the information war, trying to break through the electronic Berlin Wall and get you all of the information that you're not getting from the mainstream mind-controlled machine that has raised you your entire life. So we're going to go real quickly into the news. We have a lot of information to cover today. We have a lot of videos to show today. So real quickly, we're going to go over the national situation, where it's going, and then we're going to go into why we have come to this state, what has been done, how the social programming has worked on the American public to bring the great country, one of the greatest countries in the history of the world, one of the most prosperous, educated, enlightened, intelligent republics in the world, in the history of the world, to its knees. Its public completely poisoned, both mentally, physically, spiritually. Its economy absolutely destroyed and outsourced. All intentionally done, all purposefully designed, executed with military precision over the last century. So what is our current situation? Economy nearly stalled in fourth quarter. The economy nearly stalled in the fourth quarter with a growth rate of just 0.6%, capping its worst year since 2002. Wednesday's Commerce Department report showed that the economy deteriorated considerably during the October to December quarter as worsening problems in the housing market and harder to get credit made individuals and businesses more cautious in their spending. Fears of a recession have grown even as inflation remained elevated. Of course, the inflation had a higher jump last year than it has in 26 years. And that's even with the consumer price index being manipulated by the government. The middle class is shrinking. The majority of the economy is a consumer economy. Why was that done? We're going to go into that. Big tips for rich. Expect war, study blitz, mind markets. January 30th from Bloomberg. Barton Biggs has some offbeat advice for the rich. Insure yourself against war and disaster by buying a remote farm or ranch and stocking it with seed, fertilizer, canned food, wine, medicines, clothing, etc. The etc. means guns. Briggs is no paranoid survivalist. He was chief global strategist at Morgan Stanley before leaving in 2003 to form hedge funds Traxys Partners. He doesn't lock and load until the last page of his smart look at how World War II warped share prices, gutted wealth, and remains a warning to investors. His message: listen to markets, learn from history, and prepare for the worst. This is one of the top economic strategists for Morgan Stanley for the last 20 years, advising the wealthy of this nation to begin preparing themselves for fiscal Armageddon. This is not Alex Jones. This is not some survivalist. This is not some right-wing conspiracy theorist that so many of you call us that are trying to warn you about what's happening. This is literally one of the top economic strategists in the nation now telling the elite to prepare for the worst. While all this is happening, U.S. military may not be ready for attack. The U.S. military isn't ready for a catastrophic attack on the country, and National Guard forces don't have the equipment or training they need for the job, according to a report. Even fewer Army National Guard units are combat ready today than they were nearly a year ago when the Commission on the National Guard and Reserves determined that 88% of the units were not prepared for the fight. The panel says in a new report released Thursday. The independent commission is charged by Congress to recommend changes in law and policy concerning the Guard and Reserves. The commission's 400-page report concludes that the nation does not have sufficient trained, ready forces available to respond to a chemical, biological, or nuclear weapons incident, an appalling gap that places the nation and its citizens at great risk. Right now, we don't have the forces we need. We don't have them trained. We don't have the equipment. Commission Chairman Arnold Panaro said in an interview with the Associated Press. Even though there's a lot going on in this area, we do need a lot more. There's a lot of things in the pipeline, but in the world we live in, you're either ready or you're not. And meanwhile, while the nation has been gutted, while its economic wealth and prosperity are slipping away, while its military forces have been spread to the breaking point around the world, with veteran suicides at all-time record highs, with Army suicides at all-time record highs, desertion rates at all-time record highs. Even while we're importing troops from Mexico, Paraguay, all over the world, promising them citizenship. Over 20 to 30% of our ground forces in Baghdad, foreign-born troops. And still the military is collapsing, still not meeting its recruitment goals. Bled dry in every way, shape, and form. The American country bled in every way, shape, and form. Now why? Why is that? Why has this happened? Why has this been done to us? Well, if you read the CFR's own publications, if you go and read Zebrev Brzezinski's quotes from his own books, one of the founders of the Trilateral Commission, advisor to presidents, and now advisor to the great change candidate Barack Obama. You read their quotes, and this has been all laid out explicitly for the destruction of the United States. And why is that? Why would the political and economic and financier elite intentionally engineer the destruction of the United States as we knew it? Because the American people and the American system, the U.S. Constitution, the Bill of Rights, though greatly damaged, though greatly reduced in the last 10 years, represent the single greatest threat to world economic political hegemony. You have the most still, even with the dumbing down of America that we're going to go into today, you still have the largest concentration of educated, access to weapons, resources, people on the face of the planet. The engineering of their destruction has to occur. The destruction of the dollar, the destruction of our economy, all intentionally done to bring about first a North American Union, the merging of the United States with Mexico and Canada, followed by merger into larger transnational organizations. That's what all of this is about. That's what the Iraq War has been about. It's a multifaceted dimension plan, long-term, carried out specifically to bleed us dry, to destroy our reputation, to alienate the world against us. And now at the peak of our weakness, the carpet will be pulled out from underneath us, all for a pretext of merging us, because that's the answer. They've already told you the answer. Robert Pasteur, representative and member of the CFR now calling for a new North American currency. Robert Pasteur writing in speeches, in interviews, saying that during an economic crisis or terrorist event, that would be the pretext to go into a North American Union. I have documented all of this. You can go to frequencyclear.tv. You can look at the late great USA data page that I built, where I interviewed Dr. Jerome Corsi, where literally in their own documents they say it's a stealth merger plan carried out over the long term, all by bringing in together working groups from different countries, harmonizing the bureaucracies of all countries. But see, they can't bring any of this out, they can't show it to you without the pretext of fixing a problem, fixing the same problems that they have caused, they have created, they have executed with military precision. And that is the end game. That's where we're at now. That's why you see the United States dollar plummeting. That's why you see our soldiers spread too thin to protect us in any way, shape, and form. Once again proving the absolute lie, fallacy, lunacy of the neoconservative agenda for foreign war. Their whole logic being that it was to protect us. It was the war for empire and resources. We had to control the resources. And that's not me. That's their own policy documents. That's the Project for a New American Century that most of the public is still today unaware of. So, the country is on its knees. Its economy is under direct attack from its own financial institutions. The middle class is shrinking. Inflation is soaring. Our military and military men and women have been brutalized, sent to foreign wars in literally irradiated, hellish environments. I mean, from any angle you look at this, even those of you that are imperialists that don't even call yourself that, economic imperialists that were just fascinated with the role of globalization. And see, for the longest time, it's always been that pretext, is you thought that your power went along with this system, and now some of you, although the majority, will not wake up literally until Rome is burning, until Babylon has fallen.